You have about 3 weeks left. Right now, the soil under your grass is still holding summer heat, somewhere up around 70 degrees, and the nights have finally started cooling off. That short stretch at the tail end of August is the last time all year the ground is awake enough to take what I am about to show you and pull it down into itself. Miss it, and you are not fixing that bumpy, thin, hard-packed yard this year. You are looking at it all fall, all winter, and starting over next April. What nobody at the garden center will tell you is that the fix was never in a bottle. It is a bag of medium grit sand, a wheelbarrow, and a push broom. It is what the Amish and the plain farmers have been doing to their ground since long before there was ever such a thing as a lawn store. And it is what the groundskeeper at the ball field downtown did every August without calling it anything fancy at all. Stay with me all the way to the end, because the reason this has to go down a quarter inch at a time and never all at once comes down to one specific thing water does when it hits a line between two different kinds of dirt. That one thing decides whether your yard levels out smooth or drowns next June. I am Garry Strickland. I am 63 years old. I spent my working life as a carpenter, and for better than 30 years, I have kept the same quarter acre in the same Midwest neighborhood. Most of what I know came from an old neighbor named Earl, a World War II veteran who had the thickest lawn on the street and nothing in his shed but a rotary mower and a coffee can of grass seed. Folks slow their cars down in front of my yard now and ask me what service I hire, and I do not hire one. So how does a yard get lumpy and hard in the first place when nobody ever did a single thing to make it that way? It goes the same way a floor in an old house goes out of level, a little at a time and never all in one spot. Rain packs the dirt down. Earthworms push up their little castings every spring. The ground swells in the freeze and settles back in the thaw. You walk the same path from the driveway to the mailbox for 20 years. Then the mower comes along and the wheels ride up over the high spots while the blade shaves them bald, and the low spots sit there holding water and going thin and weedy. And that shape costs you real money every single year. Every April, you are buying seed for the same 3 bare patches by the driveway, and every August, those same patches are back. You are not losing a lawn, my friend. You are renting one. $30 a year for as long as you own the house on a problem no bag of fertilizer was ever built to fix. Feeding the grass does not change the shape of the ground underneath it. Only the ground can do that, and only while it is still warm and awake and willing to work. And I keep saying a quarter inch. I will tell you exactly why it has to be that thin before we are done, because that is the part everybody gets wrong. And getting it wrong is worse than doing nothing at all. Now, everything I am showing you today comes straight out of a little book I put together called The Old Ways, 50 Forgotten Lawn Secrets from America's Greatest Groundskeepers. It is 104 pages of the small, cheap, patient tricks those old groundskeepers taught me over 30 years, written down plain before the men who taught me are all gone. This August job lives in part 3, the yearly rhythm, right next to the pantry and garage tricks that cost pennies. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47. That is less than half of one bottle of the stuff you buy every spring, and you buy that bottle again next spring and again the spring after that. This one you buy once. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, my friend, let us walk out in the yard and do this thing. I am going to take it one step at a time, and none of it takes more than a weekend. First, the timing, because the timing is half the job. Cool season grass, the fescue and the bluegrass and the ryegrass most of us have up here, does its hardest root growing when the air turns cool, but the ground underneath is still warm. That is right now. Push a soil thermometer into the front yard, or just work your finger down 2 inches, and you will find the ground still sitting in the 60s. 65 degrees is the number I look for. 65 degrees, still warm to the touch, still working. 2 things are going on down there while it is that warm. The roots are pushing, reaching out for the cooler air and the fall rain, and the earthworms have come back up out of the deep dirt where they hid through the hot, dry part of the summer. Those worms are your crew. They take the sand and the compost you lay on top and haul it down into the ground, a little every night, until there is no layer left sitting up there at all. They work for free, and they only work while the ground is warm. Come the first week of November, that crew has punched out. The worms have gone deep, the roots have quit reaching, and whatever you spread just lays there like a sheet of plywood until spring. That is why the old fellas did this in August. They were not being sentimental about the calendar. They just knew when the help was on the clock. Now, what goes in the wheelbarrow? You have seen the bags of medium grit sand at the hardware store stacked on the pallet right by the door, a few dollars a bag. That is the right sand. Medium grit, and sometimes the bag will say masonry sand instead. What you do not want is to play sand, that fine white stuff, for the sandbox. Place sand packs down like flour, and it seals the ground shut instead of opening it up. And I am going to be straight with you here, because there is a lot of bad advice floating around on this one. If you have heavy clay under your grass, and plenty of us do, straight sand by itself on top of clay is the one way to make your yard worse instead of better. Sand and clay with nothing in between makes something uncomfortably close to mortar, so do not do that. What the old fellas did, and what I do on my own 1/4 acre, is mix it. Half medium grit sand, half screened compost. 1 shovel of sand, 1 shovel of compost, turned over in the wheelbarrow until it looked the same color all the way through. The sand carries the weight, fills the low spots, and holds your level. The compost feeds the ground and gives those worms a reason to come up after it. Together, they knit right into what you already have instead of sitting on top of it like a hat. If your soil is already sandy, lean it the other way. 2 parts compost to 1 part sand. You are always adding what your own yard is short of. So read your dirt before you read the bag. How much do you need? A 1/4 inch across 1,000 square feet works out to about 20 cubic feet of mix, which is right around 3/4 of a cubic yard. In bags, that is a whole lot of bags. So if you are doing the entire front yard, call the landscape supply yard and have them dump a yard of it in your driveway. It comes a good bit cheaper by the yard than it does by the bag, and 1 phone call saves you loading 40 sacks into the trunk of your car. If you are only fixing a few low spots, bags are fine. Step 1 is the mower, and this is the one time all year I will tell you to cut it short. Drop your mower down 2 notches from where you normally run it. Somewhere around 2 inches is right, 2 inches and no shorter than that. And this one time only, catch the clippings and haul them off instead of letting them fall. The reason is simple. Whatever you spread has to reach the dirt. If your grass is standing 3.5 inches tall and full of clippings, the sand hangs up in the leaf blades and never gets down where it does any good. Short grass gives it a clear path to the soil. Take your time with this. Go slow. And if it takes 2 passes to get it down there without scalping anything, make 2 passes. Step 2 takes about 5 minutes. Before you spread 1 shovelful, you need to know what is sitting between your grass and your dirt. Take a spade to the middle of the yard and cut a plug about 3 inches deep, like a little slice of cake. Lift it out and look at the side of it. Underneath the green grass and above the brown dirt, you will see a spongy tan layer of old stems and roots. That is thatch. If that spongy layer measures a 1/2 inch or less, you are in good shape and you can move right along. If it is thicker than a 1/2 inch and you can hold it up against the end of your finger to judge it, you need to rake that out first. A stiff steel garden rake and an hour of pulling will handle a small yard. Rent a dethatcher if the yard is a big one. A ½ inch, that is the number. Under a ½ inch, you spread. Over a ½ inch, you rake first, because sand laid on top of a thatch sponge just sits there doing nothing for anybody. Step 3 is opening the ground up, and this is the step that turns a light top dressing into an actual repair of your soil. Rent a core aerator from the hardware store for a half day. It is a heavy machine, but it walks itself, so it is easier on a man than it looks. Run it over the whole yard once, then turn and run it again crossways. It pulls up thousands of little plugs of dirt and leaves them laying on the grass. Leave those plugs right where they fall. Do not rake them up. They melt down in a couple of weeks of dew and rain and become part of the top dressing themselves. If your yard is small, or if renting a machine is more fooling around than you care for, a garden fork does the same work. Step it in 6 inches deep. Rock it back towards you to crack the ground open. Pull it out, move a boot width over, and do it again. Earl did his entire front yard with a spading fork, and one Saturday morning, and the man was 81 years old. Every one of those holes is now a place for your sand and compost to fall down into. And that is the whole point of the step. You want that mix down in the ground where the roots are. Step 4 is the spreading, and this is where folks get themselves in trouble. Load the wheelbarrow and take it out to your worst low spot first. Use a flat shovel and throw the mix low and flat out across the grass, the way you would scatter feed for chickens. Do not dump piles and figure on spreading them out later. Throw it thin from the very first shovelful, a ½ inch. That is about as thick as a pencil laying on its side, a ½ inch, and no more than that anywhere. Your low spots and your ruts get a little extra, up to a ½ inch in a real dip. The high spots get almost none, and some of them you skip altogether. Your job out there is filling in the valleys. There is one test that keeps you honest. Look down at any spot you just covered, and you should still see green grass blades poking up through it everywhere. If you are looking at a solid gray sheet of sand with no grass showing at all, you put down too much. Pull some of it back off with your rake and carry it to a spot that needs it. And I promised you the reason behind that ½ inch. We are getting close to it now, and it is the whole reason this works instead of backfiring. Step 5 is the push broom, and this is the step everybody rushes. You need to work that mix down off the grass blades and onto the dirt where it belongs. A stiff push broom does it beautifully. So does the backside of a level head rake. Some of the old groundskeepers dragged a length of chain link fence behind a garden tractor and did an acre at a time that way. Whatever you use, work it in every direction. Push it one way down the yard, then come back across it the other way. Keep at it until the grass blades stand back up through the mix and you see green again across the whole area. That is your rule. If you can still see a solid sheet of sand anywhere, you are not finished brooming. Take your time here. There is no rush on this at all. Put the radio on, work one section at a time, and go sit on the tailgate when you need to. It is a slow job, and slow is exactly how it was always meant to be done. Step 6, water it in and go light. Turn the sprinkler on for about 20 minutes when you are through. 20 minutes, not an hour. You want just enough water to settle that mixes down around the crowns of the grass, and not so much that it washes everything into the low corner by the fence. And if you are overseeding this fall, and in cool season country you very likely should be, this is your moment. Spread your seed right after you have broomed the mix in and before you water. Every one of those little grains drops down into the grit and stays put where it lands instead of blowing off or floating away. There is not a better seed bed you will ever build in your life. Then keep that top inch damp for 2 weeks, a light watering every morning, and you will watch it come up. So that is the whole job. You mow it short, you check your thatch, you open the ground up, you spread a ½ inch, you broom it in, and you water it lightly. One weekend, start to finish. And that brings us to the part I promised you at the start. Why a quarter inch? Why not save yourself the trouble, put down 2 full inches this weekend, and be done with leveling forever? Because of what water does when it meets a line. Water does not cross easily from one kind of dirt into a different kind of dirt. It stalls right there at the line. That is just how water behaves in the ground, and you can watch the same thing happen in a flower pot on your own porch. When you have 2 different textures stacked up, sand sitting over clay, the rain comes down through that sand, reaches the line where the clay begins, and it quits moving. It has to fill that whole sand layer up first before it will cross over. So it hangs there in the top layer like water sitting in a saucer. Now think about what your grass does about that. Roots go where the water is. If all the water is sitting up in a 2-inch sand shelf, your roots stay up in that shelf. They never go down looking for anything because there is no reason to. Then July comes, 3 weeks with no rain, and that shelf dries out in about a day and a half, while the good dirt 8 inches down is still damp as a sponge. Your lawn goes brown standing directly on top of water it cannot reach. That is what a thick layer does to a yard. It puts a lid on your ground. A quarter inch cannot do that. A quarter inch is too thin to make a line at all. The worms take it down, the roots grow up through it, the rain washes the fine part into the holes you opened, and inside of a month, there is nothing left up there to stop anything. It simply became your soil. That is the whole reason for the number, my friend. And it is the whole reason for August, because the crew that stitches it in only works while the ground is still warm. And that right there is exactly the kind of thing the old fellas taught me, and it never once made it onto the back of a bag. The Old Ways has 49 more just like it, laid out just as plain. $17, marked down from $47. One bag of the wrong thing this fall costs you more than that, and it is gone by spring. This one stays on your shelf and works every year you own the house. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So there it is. A quarter inch of sand and compost broomed into a warm August lawn is the closest thing to a permanent fix there is, and it costs about what one bag of fertilizer costs. Tell me in the comments what your lawn is fighting right now and what state you are in. I read every single one. And next time, I am going to show you what the old groundskeepers put down in the last week of October, after the mower is already in the shed for the year, and why that one job decides how green your yard wakes up in April before you ever touch a bag of seed. Keep that lawn thick and green, my friend, and I'll see you over the fence.